Alrighty, so this is the aftermath of Bedford County. Now looking at this car, it does not look that damaged. I told him to send it. I did not want it back. I did not want to fix it. My brother Josiah ran it, and he sent it. This car had no reverse. Well, it had just enough reverse so he could back away from a car for another hit. But he smashed the whole front end. He smashed the whole front end in, bent this frame rail at a complete 90, smashed it into the intake, which I think is what took it out, smashed into the firewall back there, broke this motor mount, broke his radiator, I mean the whole engine is tilted back. You can tell it down here really bad. Light on? Yeah, my light's on. It's tilted the whole way back. It broke off that little support that comes over from the side. All the axles stayed in. I'm welding them. They all stayed in. Both front shocks and everything are straight. The A-arms are straight. He only got hit once. He gave 3 shots with his front end, and then he got hit real hard in the ass. Doors are clean. And come around right here. That's the one frame rail. The other one came out to match. And one shot is how, this is how rusty it was. One shot bent the frame that way, up, and rolled it down. This here was originally facing straight out the back of the car, and now this is in the bottom, all from one shot. The whole axle is crooked. Like nothing real, I don't think anything bent but the floor. This moved in. This tire I believe is still good if we put it on a different rim and blow it up. I think it just destroyed the rim. Luckily we put the gas tank in the passenger seat. The whole floor moved. The tank would originally have been where this ground for the fuel pump is, which that's back here because it was going to go back here. The whole floor buckled and moved. I mean, right there is the seat belt, and right there the seam broke. Oh, it moved this whole hump out from one shot. Spare tire trays just ripped to shreds in here. If you do remember, this car was creased. They made us cut them. However, how they made us cut it, I actually believe it helped the car, as it bent at all the cuts, and it just came in straight and hard. And I actually believe it helped it. This car shut down right after he got that hard hit in the back. I'm wondering if he broke something electrical when he got hit, or when he made his very first shot, if he broke his radiator and all the water poured out. I don't know how soon this car would have got hot enough to lock up like it did. This was in heat 1, I was in heat 2. If you want to watch the heats, go to Carter Claus Derby videos, I believe. If you can't find it, just go to YouTube, go to the search bar and type in Bedford County Demo Derby 2022. There should be Heat 1, Heat 2. But this car is done. It will not refire. We will try again just to see if we can figure out what took it out. This was not the SFI. Of course, the trained eye can tell that. This is the Ecotech with the plastic intake in the front, the starter in the front, everything in the front, and the exhaust in the back. I have 2 SFIs sitting back there to build, so I can't wait to build those. And we have my car, which actually bent down in the front. Like the front frame is actually going down. Don't know why. It's busting out at the seam, it's kicking out. Part of the reason why it's going down, I guess, is it does not have a subframe at all. No subframe whatsoever to speak of. So it's just a floating frame. It's busting in right here. I was making some very hard shots at the front end of this. It doesn't look like it on camera, but it was some hard hitting. This strut is straight, the axle's straight, tire's not touched, completely fine. The radiator, I shouldn't have ran a radiator, but it's all pushed in. I'm gonna get my hood prop up here. But this, I think, saved my valve. This still has water in it. It's not leaking out whatsoever. It is pinched pretty hard there, so I doubt it's moving anywhere. It still starts and runs. I actually drove out of the ring. What took me out is, if you remember right, it's a manual. And I was not pushing the clutch in every time I made a hit. And I believe I burnt the clutch out of it. I could not hear it, even with the header. I could not hear if it was running or not. It was so loud in there that I couldn't tell when it started and when it didn't. I think it did start for me a couple times, but I have no clue. It actually was pushing in the clutch, and someone hit me in the front end and pushed me out of the arena. I just pulled my flag then and there. But after the Derby, I tried to start it again, fired right up, but I have to get my RPMs up to like 5,000 RPMs before I let go of the clutch, and then it'll start to move and slowly gain momentum. So I'm thinking for sure it's the clutch, and I'm not going to bother fixing that, even though it breaks my heart. This engine runs fine. I might try to find another Echo real quick before this goes to the scrapyard next weekend. This strut tower did move in, busted right down in here, and the actual strut tower bent, and the strut on this side bent. I got whaled pretty good on this side. But interestingly enough, let's say it was a half track shot. The axle's fine. The spindle is fine. But the strut is bent pretty harsh. And it's bent in pretty tight, but it's not touching the frame yet. I still had steering. Like, my steering was perfectly fine. It's not even touching the frame yet. The frame is bending into the pulleys that way, just a tiny bit. I got one. Somebody hit me here. Somebody caught me here, down in my rim. All 4 of my tires are holding air. I have one bent strut. And the back end of this thing came in perfectly. I could not have asked for this to bend any more perfectly with what I had done to it. It didn't do what I thought it was going to do. It actually had enough grip on the sides that it pulled the quarter panels in with it. I think cutting these creases actually helped this car as well. It actually weakened the sides of it enough to push in with it. This tire has complete clearance, nothing touching it. This tire is starting to get stuck. It still rotates and spins just fine. If this was an automatic, I would be 100% running it this Wednesday. I just pound this out of the way with a sledgehammer. I ran my tank off the floor. I literally have this piece of plate welded to my post-to-post bar, and I got, I think, 6 or 5 ratchet straps all over this tank holding it down, and it did not move an inch. It stayed where we wanted it to. We need to invest in a better way to mount our tanks. But real quick, I want to show you a way to run a 145 psi pump on like a 35 psi returnless system. This does not have a return line in it. So I bought a regulator for this car, and the regulator did not come with instructions. So my solution: after the fuel pump, I put in a T-fitting. Okay? Now this straightaway goes from the pump to the engine. Okay? And this one flows all the way up to the shut-off switch. And what I did is this shut-off switch was wide open when I first set it up. I tried to start it, and of course the pump pushed all the fuel pressure back into the tank. And I just slowly turned this until it sent enough fuel pressure to the engine to start it. And then I played with it back and forth until I got it exactly where I wanted it. And then I did not touch the switch. I have another switch right out of the tank that's my on and off switch. But this is my homemade $3 fuel regulator. And it is sitting exactly at halfway. When I got it, I think it moved around a little bit or something on the way there. I actually had to mess with it once I started it up. It was bogging down, not running right. I actually had to adjust it just a little bit so it would have more fuel. Sorry about that, there's a motorcycle going by. This one strap is loose. Oh wow. I guess it did shift a little bit. Battery stayed in. And this car did not have an alternator either. I charged this battery up the day before the day of the Derby and took it in, and it ran beautifully. I was scared to death I was going to run out of battery power, but I did not. All the wiring was moved except for the main harness. I went to the fuel pump. All that wires ran up and bolted there. I just undid it, made sure it fired up, turned it off. And if anybody was wondering how the back end of this did on the inside, it actually went down and then V'd right back up. If you can see that, it was literally straight along here, goes down, bends at my notches, and comes straight back up. It's blowing out this seam here. Anyway, it's starting to blow out on that side as well. But honestly, guys, I really am very impressed with how this car did. I really like how it folded, and I am pissed that I have to scrap it. I looked it up real quick. Roughly a clutch for these is $100. It's only worth about $150, $200 in scrap from the place that I usually take them. So I'd rather just buy a whole nother car, guys. Some people might disagree, but it's my money, my cars. It's what I'm going to do. I'm really impressed. This tank's still on here. This tank is still solid. Like, I tried beating it off with a sledgehammer before the Derby, and it did not budge. And it just wrinkled in. All my motor mounts are fine. I don't think the engine moved. Yeah, motor mount in the back is fine. This one's fine. I don't think there's one in the front. And the one on this side I can't even see, but seeing how it's not moved, it should be fine. My shifters all have clearance. I mean, it did break the weld I was holding this on, which, that's fine, as it's welded like crap on the bottom. It's got big old holes in it. Just literally cut the pipes off of the header, welded half a piece of pipe on, and just welded a piece of pipe up and put chrome spray paint on it. As you can see, here's the returnless fuel system, just one line from the engine here. This was actually for my brake booster. My brother hooked my fuel lines up while I was at work, and he thought it was a return line. And I would have thought so too. It was right there. So he just cut it and put the plug in it because we were going to run a fuel regulator. And I noticed when I was driving around the driveway, I had very little brakes. They were there and they were strong, but they just didn't last. Like, it slowly went out on me. And I realized I had no engine pressure to the brake system. So, just a little tip for you guys if you run an Echo. It has a returnless system. It also has a steel tank if you want to run that tank in something. I never did get around to cutting the top out of this air filter compartment. I just ran it like normal. Now here is something I don't like. This is my throttle right here. Is actually touching this foam and chipping this foam. Like, if I had been holding this wide open with one more shot to this, I could have got my throttle stuck wide open. So note to self, I will not be putting foam near this again. If I do, maybe I'll make a little piece of license plate around it, just keep everything out of it. That's really just about it, I believe. This foam did break off and move. This block was okay. I honestly think it could have stayed here, but one hard shot to that and would have moved it in for sure. I am really impressed with this Echo. I would definitely get another one. I would also definitely do something to this frame to make it go up. This is a stock Cavalier bumper. It is weld patched in the center. See, it's kind of welded because it had a hole in it. I just painted over. They never even saw that it was patched. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it went. I'll definitely look out for another one. This one here, oh man,